is it still too early to say who's going to lift the 2025 Ballon d'Or?
Rodri.
Maybe, but it's already possible to picture some pretty likely scenarios based on everything that's happened so far this season, and some big names are starting to stand out. Raphinha, who's become the main star at Barcelona, Harry Kane, having the best season of his career at Bayern, Dembele taking over as the face of PSG. The truth is, the Champions League will decide the Ballon d'Or, and that's where the real battle begins. At the top, every little detail counts. A goal in the final, an unexpected trophy, a legendary performance, and spoiler alert, there's a favorite who probably shouldn't even be in the race anymore. If there's one name no one expected to see in the 2025 Ballon d'Or race, it's Raphinha. Back in August, he was seen as a bargaining chip at Barcelona. The fans were asking for Nico Williams, and Raphinha's departure felt like just a matter of time. But instead of leaving, he answered on the pitch. And what followed was one of the most impressive turnarounds of the entire season. As of the time this video is being recorded, he's got 27 goals and 20 assists in 42 matches. Those numbers alone are enough to put any player in the conversation. But what really hits different is his performance in the Champions League. 11 goals and 5 assists in just 10 games. In a knockout competition, that's elite-level stuff, and the context of the goals matters. He scored a hat-trick against Bayern in one of the most iconic matches of the European season. Against Benfica, he scored twice in a wild 5-4 win away from home, including the game winner. In the first leg, he opened the score with a long-range strike, and in the second leg, 2 more goals that sent Barcelona to the quarterfinals. That kind of run doesn't go unnoticed. Raphinha's season has been clutch, and that does weigh heavily in the Ballon d'Or race. And he's doing all this without being the media's favorite. The only question mark left is about trophies. Because to win the Ballon d'Or, individual performance isn't enough. You need silverware. If Barcelona win the Champions League, the conversation's over. The award has to be his. If they only win La Liga, he's still in the race. But without a major title, things get a lot harder. Another name that's also stirring up debate is Mohamed Salah. A lot of people still mention the Egyptian as one of the best players this season, and they're not wrong. He's having one of the best individual campaigns in Europe, and yet he'll probably fall short in the final stretch of the Ballon d'Or race. So far, it's 32 goals and 22 assists in 43 matches. Absolutely insane numbers. When it comes to direct goal contributions, very few players in the world come close. And if football were all about stats, Salah would be comfortably sitting in the top 3. But the problem is the context. Liverpool got knocked out of the Champions League in the round of 16, lost the Carabao Cup final, and even though they led the Premier League for a while, their momentum faded when it mattered most. And for an award like the Ballon d'Or, the lack of major trophies is a heavy blow. Salah was consistent and carried Liverpool's attack through tough stretches, even with an injury-riddled and unstable squad. But the UCL has always been the main stage for Ballon d'Or contenders, and unfortunately, Liverpool crashed out way too early against a direct rival in the race. PSG. Is it unfair? Maybe. But that's how it goes. Even with mind-blowing stats, Salah will likely be left out of the short list of true favorites. Then there's a huge name still going strong at Barcelona, Robert Lewandowski. Despite the years going by, the Polish striker keeps putting up impressive numbers. This season, he's already scored 35 goals in 40 games, a stat line that puts him among Europe's elite strikers. His consistency inside the box is undeniable, and even without the same media buzz as in previous seasons, Lewandowski is still a goal machine. But when it comes to the Ballon d'Or, it's all about impact in big moments. And in that department, he's been outshined. In the Champions League, for example, Lewa has 9 goals and 0 assists. Meanwhile, Raphinha already has 11 goals and 5 assists. And he's been decisive in crucial matchups, like against Bayern Bayern and Benfica. As lethal as Lewandowski is, the spotlight in big games has been on Raphinha. Now, if Barcelona win major trophies, especially the Champions League, Lewa could absolutely become a serious contender, especially if he shows up in the later rounds. But right now, he's one of the pillars of the team, while Raphinha is the face of the campaign. While Lewandowski keeps putting up impressive numbers but plays a more low-key role, Ousmane Dembele is experiencing a true rise. He started the season under the radar, but he's been on a steady climb since late 2024, and now he's emerging as a serious name, especially if PSG go deep in the Champions League. The Frenchman took a while to hit his stride. By December, he had just 5 League One goals, and his overall impact was still being questioned. But in 2025, Dembele has become PSG's most dangerous player, taking over the spotlight from Mbappé. After number 7's move to Real Madrid, many doubted PSG would have someone ready to step up, and Dembele is proving them wrong with big numbers and even bigger performances. So far, he's got 30 goals and 6 assists in 37 matches. He scored a hat-trick against Saint-Etienne, bagged a brace against Monaco, found the net against Manchester City in the Champions League, and played a decisive role in knocking out Liverpool, with a goal in regular time and a clutch penalty at Anfield. On top of that, he's already lifted silverware. PSG won the Trophée des Champions early in the year, and Ligue 1, as usual, seems well within reach. But let's be real. What will determine Dembele's Ballon d'Or chances is the Champions League, and in that scenario, he becomes a very strong contender. He's got the stats, the big game moments, and the narrative on his side. Dembele's rise at PSG happened alongside one of the most anticipated moves in European football in recent years, Mbappé's transfer to Real Madrid. And if there's one name you can never count out in the Ballon d'Or race, it's his. But in 2025, Mbappé's journey has been bumpier than expected. Adapting to his new club hasn't been easy. In the early matches of the season, he went goalless, missed penalties, and looked uncomfortable playing as a central striker, especially since his favorite position on the left wing is owned by Vinicius Jr. The expectation was that he'd take over instantly, but reality was a slow start. Still, little by little, Mbappé began to find his rhythm. From the start of 2025, his form began trending upward, and he started to deliver what's expected from him. Right now, he has 30 goals and 4 assists in 43 matches. Solid numbers, especially considering the transition to a new club and a different role. And he's shown up when it matters. He's scored in El Clasico, delivered in Champions League knockout games, and even dropped a hat-trick on Manchester City. Easily one of the best individual performances of the season. As of now, Mbappé hasn't won any trophies this year, and that's the one thing that might hold him back. Real Madrid are still alive in the major competitions, but if they finish the season without a title, it's gonna be hard to rank him above other players with similar stats and trophies in hand. If Real win a big one though, Mbappé will absolutely be back in the race. While Mbappé still needs trophies to back up his rise in 2025, Harry Kane is arguably having the most consistent season of his entire career. After years of being labeled the superstar without silverware, the number 9 finally found the perfect environment to compete at the highest level with Bayern Munich, and he's delivering exactly what was expected. So far, Kane has 32 goals and 11 assists in 37 games, consistently showing up in nearly every big match Bayern have played this season. He's more than just a finisher. He helps build plays, distributes the ball with precision, and reads the game like few others. In advanced stats, he's among the best in Europe in shots, through balls, key passes, and involvement in goal-scoring plays. But what stands out the most is his consistency. Kane doesn't rely on one standout performance or a single stretch of the season. He's always there, the offensive backbone of one of the most dominant teams in Europe, and that's what keeps Kane firmly in the Ballon d'Or race. If Bayern win the Champions League, he could very well walk away with the award. The Bundesliga alone won't cut it. The competition is fierce and trophies matter, but if he continues leading Bayern's European run the way he's been doing so far, he'll have all the arguments in his favor. The one thing working against Kane? The lack of hype. He's not talked about as much as Mbappé or Raphinha, but if Bayern conquer Europe and he keeps this pace, there'll be no ignoring him. The world-class without trophies story might finally end with a Ballon d'Or in his hands. Remember that spoiler I mentioned at the beginning? Yeah, I was talking about Vinicius Jr. If there was one name that came into 2025 as a strong Ballon d'Or favorite right after the 2024 edition, it was his. Many said he was robbed last year. That season was fantastic. Champions League champion, main protagonist, goals in decisive rounds, explosive performances. But this year, he's clearly dropped off. Despite having 18 goals and 11 assists, Vinny hasn't shown consistency or clutch performances in big matches. That missed penalty against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League round of 16 was costly. And his on-field behavior keeps sparking debates, both in the Spanish media and among fans. And here's the real question. If he didn't win the Ballon d'Or after a much better season in 2024, why would he win it now, with fewer titles, less impact, and less spotlight? Unfortunately, Vinny is out of the race. Ironically, as Vinicius fades out of the picture, a 16-year-old is gaining momentum at a rival club, and it's not an exaggeration. Lamine Yamal is doing things very few players have ever done at his age. What he's showing on the field isn't just raw talent, it's personality, game intelligence, and maturity you'd expect from a seasoned pro. Despite being so young, Yamal already has 13 goals and 17 assists in 38 games. That's 30 direct goal involvements, playing at a high level against Europe's best, and being one of the most important players in Barcelona's attack. He's not just a prospect getting a few minutes here and there. He's a starter, making plays and showing up in big matches. And it's not just about the numbers. If you actually watch the games, you'll see it. Yamal shifts the pace of the match, breaks lines with tight dribbles, reads the game ahead of defenders, and almost always acts as Barca's outlet. He's already a key figure in the squad, even while sharing the field with guys like Rafinha and Lewandowski. And the advanced stats? Just as impressive. He ranks among the best in expected assists, successful dribbles, fouls drawn, goal-creating actions, and touches in the final third. All of this at just 17 years old. It's unreal, but even with all the deserved hype, it's still hard to picture Yamal winning the Ballon d'Or in 2025. And not because of talent. The truth is, even with his huge impact, he's not the main protagonist of the team. That role belongs to Rafinha, who's been decisive in the Champions League knockout rounds and the season's biggest matches. And then there's the age factor, the symbolic barrier. There's no rules saying a teenager can't win the Ballon d'Or, but let's be honest, it's hard to imagine the award being handed to someone that young when so many established names are in the race. It would be historic, but a bold move, considering the weight of the trophy. That said, if Barcelona win the Champions League and Yamal scores or assists in the final, everything changes, the narrative shifts, and football always leaves room for surprises. Among Barcelona's players, another name that would usually be in the Ballon d'Or conversation is Pedri, but this season, he just couldn't stay consistent. Once again, injuries got in the way of his rhythm, and even when he was on the pitch, pitch. He struggled to find the same level that made him shine in previous years. His talent is undeniable, but 2025 is definitely not Pedri's year in the Ballon d'Or race. He'll probably come back stronger, but for now, he's not even a serious mention. At the end of the day, the truth is simple. Whoever wins the Champions League will have a real shot at winning the Ballon d'Or. Now it's just a matter of watching who'll step up and decide the season. Drop a comment. Who do you think deserves the Ballon d'Or this year?